Well, good morning. This is our last lecture. We're going to have a final review. So the final is going to be a multiple choice online, and it's coming from a question bank. There's at least one question on each one of the subjects that I'm going to list here. And I want to do this final a little bit differently. If you get stuck on a question and you don't know the answer, or you have to go try it online to go work it out, or you want to use Google to go Google command line, what is cat? Or you want to look at the man page for cat? Do it. Okay. If you want to ask me questions, I'm going to be around all week long. Call me on my phone. Message me. My number is in the syllabus, but it is 720-209-7888. That's 720-209-7888. Ask. If you're having trouble and you need to be able to actually get to a Linux system to try these things out. Now, this is one that might take some time and effort on my part, but I will go to Amazon Web Services and I will set up a computer that you can log into if you need to try these things and test them and run them yourself. All of those are legitimate things. If you know somebody that can help you with the answer to this, I expect you to put the answer in yourself. I expect you to try it and understand it. But if you have a roommate or a friend that knows this stuff, and you ask them and you find out and you learn this stuff in the process of taking the final, good. It is not cheating. It is learning. And what I want you to do is be able to answer these things. Hopefully every single one of you will have the time, and I know finals is a busy time and you're swamped, but I hope every single one of you has the time to mess around with this and do really well. I will also point out that there are some of you in this class that are very, very close to good grades. Okay? And in particular, a couple of you have asked and I've actually calculated, and some of you are just at the fringe. Okay? I would ask that those of you that are just at the fringe at least take the time to answer some of the questions. Don't just go, well, it's multiple choice. I need 15 points. That means I have to get at least one question right. And you just answer A for everything. So take the time to actually, go through this test and work through the questions. And I know that's extra work, but I think it's useful. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I gave you my phone number. Send me email if I'm not responding quick enough. Give me an SMS message. And let's get together over Zoom and let's ask questions. And let's work through this. So you're going to get 20 questions. It comes from a question bank. They're worth 15 points each. That's 300 points total for the final. Somewhere I said to somebody that there was 400 points for the final. That is actually my other class. I apologize for that. Now, let's see. Microcode. There's 4 different kinds of questions on microcode. And they're pretty simple. It's like how to transfer one register to another, or how to increment something, or how to control the ALU, or do something like add a number to the ALU. So they're pretty simple questions. Most of the material we have covered has been at the level of system commands and how different systems and virtual systems work since the break. And consequently, most of the material in here is on that kind of stuff for the final. So just the basic stuff like what is cat minus n, how do pipes work and the different kinds of interprocess pipes. I would add to what's on the screen. What's useful about pipes? Data search. What is grep? And how does it work? How to use word count to get the number of characters in a file, lines in a file, the number of words in a file. There's some questions on data manipulation. How to use VI to get a column of data. How to use the substitute commands in VI. Some questions on remote access. How to use SSH to log into a remote computer. And how to use SCP to copy files between systems. There's some questions on system virtualization. What is a virtual machine? And at a certain high level, what are the differences between a Docker container and a full virtual machine for debugging and profiling? How do you use print statements effectively to debug a program? And what is CPU profiling? What is a flame graph? On the kind of the basics of how most computers work, what is the fetch execute cycle? What is the fetch portion? What is the execute? How do you decode instructions? On make, probably the most important build tool. What does it do? Why is it a good build tool, and how do you compare it to other build tools like Ant and Webpack? And how to use Git, how to create a repository, how to add files to it, how to commit files, how to push those files from your repository to another. So there's some stuff on Git. In the Unix file system, the question is, how is a file actually represented? And what does ln do? What does ln minus s do to create symbolic links? Why is remove the same as unlink? And when does data disappear from a file? When is the space actually reclaimed in a Unix file system? Specifically on VI and Vim, how to create, update, insert, how to save text in Vim, how to use the substitute command in Vim to change a file, and what does it mean to be a modal editor? On regular expressions, this is really things like grep, VI substitute command, sed. Perl has regular expressions. Most languages have regular expressions. What is the caret? That's the little up end guy, arrow guy. Do at the beginning of a line. What does dollar mean at the end of an expression, a regular expression? If I have square brackets inside a regular expression, what does that mean? If I have square brackets with a caret, what does that mean? Inside the square brackets, what does A-Z do? Or A-Z, A-Z 0-9? What is dot star, A-Z star, A-Z, A-Z star, A-Z plus after a character class? What is sed at the command line? And what is a stream editor? What is awk? I don't expect you to be able to program in awk, but I at least expect you to be able to say, this is awk and it works on columns. And if I see something in awk and it says print $1, that's going to print the first column of data. At the command line at the beginning of a script, what does hashtag exclamation do? And why would I care? What is chmod, and what are the permissions in a Linux system? So with chmod, how to make a script executable, or how to make something that is executable not executable. How does the shell find its commands, and what is the path? How do I set the path? What's the utility of the path, and if I'm running the wrong command, what am I going to look for in the path? There's a command which that tells you where to find a command based on the path. What does it do, and why do I care? And the last thing that we're going to cover is with SSH and remote setup. How to set up passwordless login with SSH. And why is that better security than using a password? So there are questions on every single one of those subjects. Sometimes more than one, it's possible. Hopefully I have not put in any duplicate questions, but the last time I did a question bank, one person in the class managed to find that they got an exact duplicate question, not because they did anything wrong, but because I goofed up and I put in the same question twice. You can get a random set of questions, but you will only get 20. So they're all multiple choice. And that kind of is the set of stuff that I am going to cover. The notes today for the class have the stuff you saw in there. I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about the other thing. It is the end of the semester. Some of you are actually graduating. This is your last class you're taking in the computer or electrical engineering here at the university. I know there's only a couple of you that are in that class, but I have been watching what's going on in the job market, and although for the United States at the moment things look grim, I actually don't think it's that grim for computer people. Because I look at stuff like Y Combinator's who's hiring, and the numbers have not significantly dropped off. And let's be really serious. The thing that is keeping the world in operation today is stuff like remote classes and Zoom. And you're in the field that's creating and maintaining those. So, yeah, there's some disruption, but there is a lot of activity and there is a lot of stuff going on that people still want people with computer skills. So, although for some people this is the gloom and doom time, I think by and large, I see a lot of hope. I see a lot of good things happening, and I'm very optimistic about what's going on and what's happening. So I wanted to pass that on to you. I will also point out in terms of jobs that during the Great Recession in 2008, 2009, the unemployment rate in the computer field peaked at 3%. So, you're in a field and you're learning stuff that has ongoing value and is been in the past 30 years the forefront of most new job creation in the world. It has been where automation is taking place and job creation, and there is a lot of stuff going on. And there are a dozen companies out there that have funding in their hands that are looking for people to build robots to harvest crops. And there is people that are building better robots to do genetic analysis. So, these things are very real, and the spread of IoT tools is fast and happening all over the world for everything that you can imagine. So lots and lots of computer stuff is still happening, even in good times and bad times. And this is probably the most important and recession-proof field there is, as far as I can tell. So I want to leave you with that as a note. And hopefully I will be hearing from some of you with questions. Hopefully, this is enough to get you started on what's coming with the final. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful summer. And I see some of you in the fall.